I was without painting for 9 or 10 months, and when I finally got going, it became this piece, which is kind of crowded, but I like it. And I think it's crowded because we are living in a space that's crowded. But I still like it. Painting was done on plain canvas, which has been my way over all the years. Afterward, the next piece, I decided I was going to paint very thin paint, loose on the background, and let it dry, and then started making a picture on top of it. But when it was dry, I really liked it as it was, and that was about here. I put these bands on afterward. So here it was. It's a lot smaller. I've grown accustomed to it being longer. At the very end, I put 2 dolphins and a whale. I'm not so good at whales. I've painted dolphins since 1988. Almost every painting I make has a dolphin in it. I love the dolphins. Here we have some nice dolphins. Right in here. And my animals, I like to talk about these animals. I call them my creatures. And when I teach art, I teach people that they should make their own creatures. Whatever they are, they belong to the artist, and they don't have to be anatomically accurate. These guys are my creatures, and they work. Down here, I presume that these are roots into the world. This is I'm trying to think of the word again. Oh, here it is. Forest Primeval is the name of this painting. Got the sky. I make the whole world. I make the whole universe. That's what I paint. I paint the interconnectedness of everything. My daughter likes the bands.
Janine, could you say that again, but look at me when you say it?
Okay.
I make the whole world.
I make the whole world, the interconnectedness of the universe. We're all together here. And that's what comes out in my work. What comes out in my work is spontaneous. Whatever I make is just comes out of my hand when I make a drawing. This is where the life force is that comes out of me. That tree just grew. And incidentally, this isn't just Adam and Eve. This is an apple tree. See the apples? See those apples?
Oh God, I'm shadowing it. There we go.
Here we are, number of apples. And I apparently put stripes, a border around, a double, maybe triple border. I love borders. And so that's what comes out that is right. Mr. Spicuzza used to say, you work, you make the thumbnail, that's your That's your important image. And then you look, in this case, it's only it's in me. In the landscape, I used to look back at the landscape, but my composition was the drawing. And that's where the creative stuff happens for me. And here is the piece. And I have taken my pencil and darken the drawing on here. This is a painting I started intuitively, as all my work is intuitive. We were talking about Adam and Eve in Torah session, and I made a drawing, and here we are. We've got Adam and Eve and a tree, which I love to do, trees. Let's take a nice shot of my teacher's painting, who taught me to work this way. He looked at this, he said, oh, I'd like this one. This is a piece I bought years ago, many years ago. This is my teacher's children in the water, Lake Michigan, down at Bradford Beach in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, where he lived. And it's a treasure. What he did, he made paintings, small paintings, and then he blew them up large. He worked a lot with pastels. This is an oil sketch. And two of these are his children. He didn't want to sell it to me, but in the end he did. He needed the money. It wasn't expensive, but it was a treasure. I think in the 20s you can see the swimming suits. This was done in the 20s. So what are we? We are almost 2020. So this painting is almost 100 years old. His name was Francesco Spicuzza. A tough guy. This is a painting I believe I did in Spicuzza's class. He would take a brush and take part skin color and part hair and then turn it upside down. Somewhere in there is the hair color. Well, we're here to talk about producing a painting. I just happened to be making a brand new piece, and I thought it would be good to film. What I was taught long ago in the beginning by my great teacher, Francesco Spicuzza, to make a small drawing, a thumbnail sketch. Before I met him, I would just go out into the landscape and make a drawing on my paper or on my canvas and follow that drawing. But when I met Spicuzza, I began to make these small sketches, and that became my pattern all my days. That's the way I work. And it works best. I make drawings better when they're small. And then I take a piece of plastic and put it over the top and take do I have it here? I take a Sharpie pen, I tape this down, and I make a drawing that's contrasting with the ink. And you correct your errors on the smaller piece. So that piece came up here on this overhead projector, and I put it on here and reflect it onto this board. Now, this canvas, I spent yesterday measuring this to get it centered, so I'm going to have to do that. Now this canvas, because I was influenced by the previous one, I decided to put paint on. And I put the paint on because the canvas was very thin. It was kind of flimsy, and I didn't want any problem with that. I've had that experience before. I wanted it to have body. So I put on this matte medium mixed with the paint, but the paint itself is made of a plastic. These are acrylic paints. This is going to be a pair of figures, and the figures are Adam and Eve. When I start putting on the pencil, I start doing this, and I follow, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to see. I'm not seeing. There it is. This is what I make my drawing. Now, if I put my shadow in front of that, you can see that there will be a drawing on there. And that's what I will paint with. I'm not sure what I'm going to do. I'm going to get going on it and make these lines, make these figures. This came from a book I've just read. It came from that book. I started to draw, and out came Adam and Eve, and I'm going with it. We will see what it does. We will see what it becomes.
Okay.
Here's a drawing I haven't decided about. I want to mention about Mr. Spicuzza. First time I worked with him, we went to the park, and I sat down on a bench around and under the trees, and he came over to me and he said, "Seaman," he sat with me, he said, "This is how you do this." He had me look through my hands, make a little rectangle, and he said, "This is your composition. You make a drawing and you put that down here. You do not try to paint the entire forest here. You only make that small drawing. You look at the scene and that's your reference. It doesn't, you don't try to make the whole thing." And I've done that all through the years. And here is the drawing from the other painting. You can see I don't draw very deep in color, and then it disappears when I put the plastic over it too. And I'm going to slip this plastic over so you can see the intensity increases. This canvas could have been this big. All I need to do is back up, put more space between the projector and the painting, and it'll get bigger. I have put drawings this big, which those came from this same arrangement. All the decisions are instinctive. Everything you make is right. You never make anything wrong. And I'm even getting used to the idea of imperfection. I used to clean up, slick up all the imperfections, and there weren't that many, but I was more careful in the end, and I'm not anymore. I will look at the painting and say, "Ah, there's imperfection," and I leave it. That's okay. You know, the Navajos put an imperfection in the very beginning because they say only God can make it perfect. So I'm not so concerned about perfect anymore. Took me a long time to come to that. I will bring my paints out and I will open them all up. I open these up, and I will probably mix more. I have more of these containers. And here's my favorite color. Cerulean blue. I always have a lot of blues. I don't use this one as much. It's a little dark. This is in the favorite line. I will open these all up, and I'll bring out my brushes, and I'll end up using this one because this is the one I use all the time. And I may use some of this. Here's a brush I like. I will use this. It gets a nice fine point. I put outlines with this brush. So the brushes and the paints are just gonna happen. I don't know. And if I don't like what I put, I can always cover it up. These are acrylics, and that's easy to do. And here, I'm going to do something to make that tree, and then I'm going to see about this action, some kind of electricity on the outside. I covered this canvas with paint instead of a white surface because I want to see how that goes, because I normally don't paint that way. I usually, this is all plain, clear. And I'll have to concentrate on the figures because the figures may be the most sensitive part I try to get established, but I'm not sure. There's no such thing as wrong art. That goes for me too. But these are refrigerated, and you can keep them a long time. When you make art, unless you're really doing something realistic that you're looking at and following very carefully, if you work from inside, you work from the soul, things appear. They get quite beautiful, and they capture emotion. I'm a painter. That's what I do. I have done it for 63 years. Never got tired of it. I just want to keep going. I come in with gratitude. I come in with gratitude to have this studio. It's a beautiful studio. And then I thank God for my good hands. Then I change my clothes, putting on different clothes. It's a different person. And then I'm ready to go. Let's see, I've got only a couple of staples left. Maybe 4. But it's enough to get it up on the board so you can work in the vertical. Every time I look at a painting of mine, I automatically go to a spot that's not perfect.
Oh my.
And it's after all these years of painting. And I do have my paints here from the refrigerator, and my daughter would laugh. So we'll go back here, and if you recall, there were just pencil lines, and I didn't know what I was going to do. I just knew the drawing was there. And the 2 figures, this is Adam and Eve.
Yeah.
And this is the old apple tree, the notorious apple tree. This is Eden. Now, I just really finished this a few days ago, and I didn't look at it until yesterday because I like to stay away from it and look at it afresh. and I have worked on the figures. I think maybe I have to do a wee bit in my perfectionism round this arm and more round in here, and I'm going to do something here. I'm pretty pleased, and I've got this border, this line around the outside, and that may be enough. I did a little correcting of it right up in here, which didn't work too successfully, but that's fine. We leave that. And I considered making the apples more realistic. Maybe that's it. It might be it. When we don't have the camera here, I will probably go in and do that.
What do you want to do to that?
Oh, I will. I could do it. I could do it right now. I'll probably add a little glue to it to quiet it down. My favorite blue. We'll see. We will see. That's all we have to do. That might be it. Just a little skinny thing. I really don't know. How can you know? I just love all the colors. It's great. Well, maybe I should leave it. I get a little concerned sometimes, but then I always know I can change it. But down here, this kind of bothers me too. Right in here. I like it to blend in better, but it's all dry, you know. And I'm not sure. As I say, I'm never sure. That thing looks like it should be. Well, now we're doing better. See if we can just soften it up some so I don't see it. I don't want to bump into it. See, now I see that little glob. I don't want to see that. And I don't have my glasses on. But you know, it's fun. I don't even know, where was it? Here. I think I'll put my glasses on. Usually I have them on, but I didn't even figure on doing this. It's a pretty deep blue over there on this stripy thing. There, now we don't see it as much. I heard the other day that, was it some great artist who at his own show, he went up and spit on the canvas, and then he rubbed it in. I don't know if that was Turner. There's some big film on Turner that I haven't seen. Well, for the moment, I'll probably have to go in here. This looks a little dirty to me. We can't have dirty. And see, the more I go around, I'll see these things right there. Should have a little golden know if we'll see it. That's funny. I try to take stuff away. I discovered working in gold years ago, I used to drop the gold paint into wet paint, and it would spread out so beautifully. See, it comes around here. Maybe I shouldn't overdo, huh? All of this was done very loose, just paint, because that's what it asked for. What have we got here? Are we still in gold? I have to sign it where the signing will go. It'll probably go there. It looks like it needs it. The signatures, to me, relate into the piece. See, now I'm fiddling around with this. I could bring that color over here so they're not... Maybe I'll do a signature. That takes me time to do. I have to put it down there in the right place. So I frequently will put it in pencil. I suppose I could do it. And my art is healing. It takes you into a place of mystery. This wonderful man who knew about things like that said that that's what we do. If we can go into a painting and it's where we've never been before, it just removes our tension. Our anxiety goes away. We just flow into some other place and the body loosens up and it feels good. This is certainly one of those paintings. You flow and you can flow out here. You can get in. You don't want to be just in something you've always been in. It's a change. The painting is a change. It's a change for me. That I've lived in this residence, this elderly residence, and I think that I'm finally flowing with the place, and that my paintings have become looser and happier. I'm going to take this down and see how I think about that signature. Where did I put my glasses? There they are. Somehow in there. Oop. I have to find a pencil. Here's a pencil. You know, when you teach art, you have to teach people how to sign their names. Instead of something that sticks out, then it's straight, a square or angular. You know, the signature has to flow with the painting. Here is the center. And so this signature has got a... I'll probably have to put some paint down here to bring this across. We'll see. I put my whole name in. Should have gone over here a little more, but it's okay. What the hey, as my friend used to say. Well, what are we going to use? What brush? What color? Just go right in with it. Let's just see. See if I like it. Whoop. I think I have to use the smaller brush. Yeah, it's okay. I've done this a lot of times. I've painted for 63 years. You can imagine. I don't know if that's dark enough. I don't know if that's dark enough. A little purple. I think I better stick some green back in. They say that people like to watch people paint. Now that should not be there. That's heavy. You know that I'm gonna blot it some. That's all right. We'll leave that little surprise there. That's what they are. See, I could get into this. I was already in there, I know. Too strong. Try to make it look like it was always there. These are acrylics. They're very good acrylics. I have tubes. They come liquid. I think they're a whole lot more expensive. It's a happy piece.